This is JC Setting the Record Straight podcast. I'm your host, JC. On this channel, we set the record straight. That means we fact check and correct commonly believed misinformation and propaganda. In my last podcast, I posited a theory that gays who are engaged in committed relationships are more likely to transmit HIV than those who are engaged in casual hookups. I stated this based on my own anecdotal observations. My friends who transmitted HIV were all engaged in committed monogamous relationships. While being in those monogamous relationships, their partners convinced them to have unprotected sex. To me, this is just common sense. In the words of Judge Judy, I've been in this business for a long time. But you don't have to take my word for it. I have studies which prove my hypothesis. Before I get into these studies, I want to make clear that I generally do not delete comments. The only time I delete comments is when someone is trolling or making ad hominem attacks, which have no bearing on the topic at hand. However, I don't delete comments just because someone disagrees with me. As you can see, someone made comments about the gay community and I'm addressing it head on. Now that I have gotten that out the way, I'm going to address these studies. As always, I'm going to post the links in the description. First, I have a study from the National Library of Medicine. It's called Relationship Factors Associated with HIV Risk Among a Sample of Gay Male Couples. It says gay men involved in sexual relationships have embraced UAI. UAI means unprotected anal intercourse, as a way to show their love, intimacy, and trust towards one another, as well as for strengthening their relationship commitment and satisfaction. So this is the first mistake. I don't trust anybody except my brother, and even then, I cut the deck. So trusting a man in order to prove that you love him is not intelligent. I don't give a fuck if a man thinks I trust him. I don't trust you, and I'm going to treat you as such. The study says, on average, the participants had faith in their main partners and viewed their partners as dependable and predictable. The men were also invested in their relationship and sexual agreement with their main partner. Sexual agreements are just whatever the couple decides they want to do. I mean, some gay couples are in open relationships. Some will say that their partners can have sex with other people so long as they use protection. And some will say that you can't have sex with anyone outside of the relationship. But if you want to have sex with someone, we have to do it together. And then some gay relationships are based on conventional standards of heteronormity. They're strictly monogamous. So the study shows that 82% of the men reported that they lived with their partner and 58% had been with their main partner for less than 5 years. About half of the men stated that they were in a strictly monogamous relationship with their partners. 2/3 of the sample reported having made a sexual agreement. Among the men who reported having made an agreement, 77% reported that they explicitly discussed their agreement in detail, and 20% had definitively broke their agreement with their main partner. This is what I'm talking about. You can trust someone all you want. Your health is your responsibility. You don't get to blame someone else because you chose to fall for the okie doke. My advice would be to not trust anyone but yourselves. Next, I have an article from CNN Health. It's called Why Monogamous Male Couples Should Stay Mindful of HIV. This article is a composite of various studies. So it says that 1 to 2/3 of new infections come from relationship partners. So 2/3 is a majority. It says men are often less likely to use condoms with their male partners. Not using a condom can often be a way to show you trust your partner more, to feel closer to your partner, or it may just not be convenient to always use condoms. Research shows that gay men in relationships perceive themselves to be at less risk for HIV and test less frequently for HIV than single men, despite frequent non-use of condoms with their main partners. Being in a relationship can make you feel like you are in a protective bubble. For years, we have been warned of the risk of HIV from casual sex, creating this myth that relationships offer a protection from HIV. There you have it. It is a myth that being in a monogamous relationship makes you less susceptible to contracting HIV. That logic may apply to the straight community, but it doesn't apply to the gay community. Again, I've been in this business for a long time. The article says the love blindness that often afflicts us in the early stages of a relationship may prevent us from asking questions about HIV status and from talking to our partners about condom use. So this HIV counselor says that many of his clients think that if their partners were HIV positive, they would tell them, based on an irrational concept of love. In the words of Whitney Houston, the greatest love of all is learning to love yourself. Finally, I have a study from Northwestern University. It's called Unprotected Sex More Likely in Serious Gay Relationships. It says that gay young men in serious relationships are 6 times more likely to have unprotected sex than those who hook up with casual partners. It says being in a serious relationship provides a number of mental and physical health benefits, but it also increases behaviors that put you at risk for HIV transmission. It continues by saying that men who believe a relationship is serious mistakenly believe that they don't need to protect themselves. The data is buttressed by findings from the CDC, which show that the majority of HIV transmissions occur in serious relationships. It says that being in a committed relationship strongly influences whether a gay man will engage in unprotected sex and doubles the risk. Listen, I'm not here for straight people's moral judgment. The shit that goes on for straight people doesn't work in a gay community. I had to learn to navigate through these dynamics the hard way because nobody is telling the truth. Many gays are trying to live heteronormative lifestyles and it's not working. There are different rules that apply to us. Some people figure it out and some people don't. Listening to straight people is going to get you nowhere. Become financially and emotionally independent. Buddhism teaches us that attachment is the root of all suffering. Don't allow yourself to become attached to anyone. Given the high failure rate of monogamy in a straight community, what makes you think that monogamy is going to work in a gay community? Come out of your fantasy world and step into reality. Stick to casual hookups and use protection. People can say that condoms break, but that's also bullshit. I've used plenty of condoms and I've never had a condom break. Condoms break when people don't use them properly. They're using baby oil and Vaseline. They're using condoms that have already expired or have been stored improperly. And then they're making an excuse that since condoms break, you may as well have unprotected sex. Don't listen to these people. Listening to these people will put your physical health at risk and subject you to a lifetime of mental anguish. Thanks for your support. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you will know when I upload new content.